Good Saturday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving an update on a flash flood warning situation around Valdosta, where the Weather Service in Tallahassee is calling this a life-threatening situation there toward Interstate 75 and some of those roads, maybe especially as you get just off of that. And it is also getting closer towards sunset, so that's just going to make things a little bit worse, even if the rainfall rates there are starting to slack off just a bit. I know Weather Service in Tallahassee getting some social media reports there, flooding north of Valdosta at 725, and then apparently water flowing like rapids in a place that never floods near I-75 at Valdosta Highway. So even though the rain's slacking off some, there's still some heavy downpours here. It's this smaller green box where we have a particularly dangerous situation, a life-threatening flash flood scenario. So at 7:26, Doppler radar indicated between, it looks like about 3.5 and 4.5 inches of rain have fallen over the last hour and a half. An additional amount of 1 to 2 inches are possible in the warned area, with flash flooding ongoing, it would seem, and in some cases maybe even life-threatening flash flooding. So remember, turn around, don't drown there, as we're looking toward Valdosta, Bremerton, I-75 at exit 16. And it's getting darker out there too, so make sure you don't go over road areas there with your vehicle that you can't tell how deep they are, because you can really find yourself in a situation where it's a matter of life and death very quickly. I know we were posting about a flash flood warning, the first one that got issued for Valdosta right around 7 o'clock or so, but then the upgrade was made because this became a more serious situation. So that's why there's a smaller box where things are worse than that. I know we had a base flash flood warning, a standard one for Duval earlier this afternoon, but we're jumping on because this is a level above here in this smaller box. It's a life-threatening flash flood warning there for parts of, again, areas there in South Georgia and Lowndes County until 9:30. Storm total rain, this is only 5 inches of rain there has fallen right near I-75. And even though we're seeing some reduction in the worst of the rain, these are still some pretty heavy downpours. I mean, this is, something that's still probably making the situation a little worse. Still getting a little worse before it gets better here. It's not like we're maybe just starting to get into stuff like this, right there in some of the hardest hit areas. We're still in some heavy downpour activity here, so really got to be careful. This is dangerous stuff that we're talking about there. As you see some of the reports pop up, I mean, that's where one of the reports was, with the water flowing like rapids there. And you're still getting a pretty heavy downpour. I mean, the reduction of the rainfall rate has occurred, but that's still significant enough to make things worse there before they improve. You can see how, as bad as ever, you see how it's just all red there for such a long period of time. I mean, goodness, this is going back to, just around 6 o'clock or so, just after. I know, didn't have the flash flood warning number 7, but this stuff this time of year is tricky because, all of a sudden you get, a high rainfall amount in an area here, pretty quickly. But, I mean, this is 6:30, and then you see this kind of the heavy downpours down in the flash flood warning. And then you see, again, it started to slack off some, but it's still getting worse there before it gets better in towards some of these areas. And with it getting dark here, this is still a situation, again, that, maybe it's just, right there, at, maybe you could say it's a plateau where it's not getting much worse anymore, but it's not improving yet here at this point in time, I wouldn't think, in South Central Georgia. So a dangerous situation there as we look at things. I'm going to go ahead and see if we can get some more reports in here into the Weather Center as we track the scenario. I know we haven't really had like severe thunderstorm warnings today, so that's some good news here, but we just had some efficient rainfall producers, and this being the most serious of which here today on this Saturday, on this July 27th here, 2024. So again, trying to give you the very latest there as the situation does progress. Just kind of looking at things here with some of the technology that we have. I know Just watching things here. I'll check for some reports on some of our different systems. Just to kind of get an idea of what's going on potentially there. And let me go ahead and kind of look in here. So, just a one-man band, but trying to figure out exactly what's going on around Valdosta. Again, some nasty stuff there as we're tracking the ongoing situation. And the listeners in Tallahassee getting concerned about this. You just got to be really careful. Just be really mindful of what's going on. Apparently, just not good. You know, when you hear reports of maybe the water there flowing like rapids, and that could really sweep somebody off their feet potentially. So, got to be really careful there around Valdosta when we hear stuff like that. I know I think getting reported some flooding now by the YMCA on a Gornto Road in Valdosta. So, again, just remember to turn around, don't drown there if you're looking toward Valdosta. Again, a life-threatening situation, a particularly dangerous situation here around Valdosta. We don't get these flash flood warnings very often here. You know, it probably only happens maybe a few times a year, I know, up in that area. You know, we had one during Hurricane Idalia, which actually went all the way to a flash flood emergency. But overall, we just don't get these type of warnings too much here. Again, flash flood warning at PDS is one level below a flash flood emergency. There's really, you know, 3 levels per se. I mean, I guess you could almost say radar indicated and observed. You could split those off. But let's just say, you know, the base level, the considerable level, and then the catastrophic level. And this is a considerable, and that means it'll go up on the phone. You know, in most cases, if you have the alert set right there in this box, in this geographic zone, as a flash flood danger. I know they used to have it where all of them would go up, but they changed it to the alert system because it was just getting a little bit too much, you know, in terms of everybody getting all these alerts. I know, you know, flood not as bad, but still some issues toward Jacksonville earlier today. I know getting a report, a delayed report of how the stadium there, Everbank Stadium's field, it was temporarily flooded. You can see they had some rain down there, but even more up in this area here. More significant downpours here as we're looking toward parts of south central Georgia. I mean, they're estimating now 6 inches. I saw that amount right in here, a half foot of rain here in a fairly short period of time. There's State Road 94 there, and you're still getting moderate rain. So even though the you know, the downpour accent maybe, you know, it's not maybe just coming down, you know, in the heaviest form. I mean, you know, still, you know, considerable amount of rain falling and it's making things, in some cases, a little bit worse here before they get better. So, again, once we start seeing more of this yellow and red go away in this boxed in area, the small box, then we'll probably start to see some of the rain drain off a little bit more finally. But again, you just got to be really careful here as we look toward that area. Again, just trying to give you the very latest here to protect you, your friends, your family here, as we go ahead and try to figure out what's going on. I know it depends on what part of Valdosta you're in. I mean, as we kind of look at things, I mean, you go over to the northeast side of Valdosta, you're wondering what all the concern is about. Only a half inch of rain over here, but then this area right here, a half foot of rain. You know, right into the interstate, so a lot of population density over there as well. Definitely cause for concern there in south central Georgia. Again, an unusually significant flash flooding situation in Lowndes County. I know the bigger flash flood warning box, that goes until 10 o'clock, but the one where we have those phones going off and says that things are more considerable, more life-threatening, this one goes to 9:30. So, again, just watching things carefully here, or watching the situation very carefully, trying to give you the very latest on exactly what is going on. Again, trying to let you know exactly what is happening here. It's all about protecting you, your friends, and your family. Again, just trying to let you know here the danger you might be in, even when you have that life-threatening flash flood, and it is getting darker out there. Definitely getting darker out there, so that can make things, a little bit more dangerous even here in that regard. When, right there around sunset, it's harder to see exactly, what's going on. I mean, it makes things maybe be obscured in some ways. Just as we watch the situation evolve, again, nasty stuff around Valdosta, watching things carefully. Even 1 hour rainfall rate, so 3-4 inches, which is very significant. So again, just watching things there carefully. I'm gonna go ahead and go into some other systems here, checking some more information, effort, and anything we can get. Again, just gotta be careful. Again, gonna go ahead and zoom back out a little bit, getting reports now flooding off St. Augustine Road near I-75 in Mounds County, Georgia, 2 miles west of Bremerton. Again, a serious situation here. Again, just gotta be careful. Gotta be mindful of what's going on. You definitely want to take precautions. Trying to give you the latest to protect you, your friends, and your family. A new flash flood warning now issued up toward a higher up. Okay, we're getting that information just in. So it's 7:52. Doppler radar indicated thunderstorms there producing heavy rain across the warned area there. That warning goes to 9:45 for northeastern Brooks and northwestern Lowndes counties. Between 2.5 and 3.5 inches of rain have fallen over the last hour. Additional amount of 1 to 3 inches are possible in the warned area, and flash flooding is either ongoing or expected to begin shortly. So, part of Austin, this is with Hira, I-75 at exit 29 and exit 22 on I-75 as well. So, let's take a look there. 1 hour rainfall. Yeah, you can see it. This radar is showing almost 5 inches now up toward Hira. That's pretty significant there in 1 hour. Maybe not as much population density, but off of 75. Concerns starting to rise for the Hira area there. I know, just kind of checking things on out. Storm total wise, quite a bit of rain there, but still a little bit more toward the south. Again, tracking things carefully. Let me put a loop on here. We'll loop this because this will kind of tell that weather story a little bit. Just kind of see you guys how things have been transpiring, how storms haven't been moving. You can see how, in that one box, especially, Valdosta around 75, you could just see how we had all that red. It's finally breaking up some, but now you're seeing more of that around Hira, starting to focus up there. So a new flash flood warning now for Hira. It's a base one. The radar indicated not considerable life-threatening at this point, but hopefully that'll start to kind of break up before we get to that point up there. Those life-threatening warnings are pretty rare. That's why we broke in, but hopefully that'll break up before we get to that point up there. But you never know, so just be mindful, be cognizant of what is going on. Again, just watching things here, watching the situation. Let me go ahead and keep giving you everything you need here in terms of the latest. Again, 3 flash flood warnings on the board. See if there's anything new. Bear with me. Again, it's not good when you hear about stuff in terms of, water flowing like rapids. Let me see if there's any questions or comments, reports from any of the viewers at home. Just again, the emphasis there is on turnaround and, not drowning here. Unfortunately, I know that's, kind of a harsh way to put things, but that's what the services mantra there. You just gotta be extra careful in these type of situations here when you have this flash flooding scenario ongoing. So, again, nasty stuff there. You see, even running higher now, starting to get more concerned. Old US 41. But then around Valdosta, there's more concern. Again, looking at velocity, not seeing too much here. That's good. Not too much wind energy or anything. You just have the storm axis sitting over the same spot. I know sometimes, there's storm patterns that can, you can get spin up tornadoes, and these setups don't get that too much around here, but nothing crazy going on in velocity at all right now, so that's good. Again, still seeing these rainfall totals go up over 6.2 inches there, right around I-75 there in Lowndes County, but you see the yellows breaking up now, which is good, but now the concern starts to shift more into toward Hira there. I mean, we're starting to look more into Brooks County now. Again, Roy watching stuff here, as I go ahead and switch on over to our coverage map. Brooks, Lowndes County, that's where the concern is. Those are northeast of Tallahassee, where Leon County is. Northwest of Columbia County, where Lake City, Florida is. And we're in Bradford County, those areas, again, further off toward the north and west of us, but part of our 62 counties. So. Okay, getting more information now. Social media report of water over a road along Norman Drive near Lowndes High School. That's coming in from the public, so that's 1 mile west-southwest of Rimerton. Again, just trying to give you the very latest on what's going on. Again, looking around Hira, that's over 5 inches of rain that's fallen. And that's again, we're concerned starting to shift more. Definitely think concerned starting to shift more toward there and around Hira. Let's go to another one of our modes here if we can. I'm gonna go to our whole area view and then do a 12-hour storm total estimate. So here you go. I know we have the temperature on here and things get crowded. It has cooled off to a good bit in many areas. But then as we go ahead and zoom in, I'll start off in North Central Florida. You see around Gainesville, some of these areas here, 2-3 inches. And now this part I could underestimate things a little, but then, west of Palaca, 2-3 inches. Duval County, 3 to 4 inches in some cases. Northern Columbia County there, 3 to 4 inches. Again, it's really scattered. Some areas didn't get anything. You look toward Tallahassee, but then up here around Valdosta. Now, keep in mind, this is not going to include the last hour. It will in a moment, so it's kind of misleading, but it was about 3 inches before the last hour, and I'll go to another product just to do the individual hour here in a moment and then kind of look around, but, I mean, you have another inch or two at least on top of that. I mean, that's 3 inches in the last hour, plus 3 inches there in the preceding 12 hours, which is more, maybe preceding hour or so. So that means once this updates, it'll be the worst spot of the day, obviously, in terms of the heavy rain. But then Hira is going up pretty quick as well. I mean, they're going to be inching up there pretty quick there in Brooks County as well. So, again, a nasty situation. Everything's localized. I mean, that's just how things are this time of year. Not every backyard even getting storms. Around Tallahassee, not really getting anything, but again, water flowing like rapids there in places that never floods around Valdosta, Georgia, and Lowndes County there, and, around Interstate 75. So, not good news in that regard. Again, trying to give you the latest here on exactly what's happening. Always tracking things for you guys at home. Of course, this time of year you have that general thunderstorm risk. Just continuing to track the scenario. We'll get the newest updates on in here in just a moment. Try to let you know what's going on. Again, scenario ever evolving. Let me go ahead and jump back to other source now around Hira and Brooks County. That's still some heavy rain there. Hopefully we don't have to, in the weather service I'm talking about, the weather enterprise didn't have to go considerable on this, but it still could start to become life-threatening up in that part of the interstate area there around Hira and Brooks County now. I mean, that's 5 inches of rain in an hour maybe in toward that area. That is considerable. That is significant. Very significant. I mean, that's what radar is showing now. 5 inches in the last hour on Hira. So that is really, not good news for those folks there. Again, maybe it drains a little bit better because maybe there's not quite as much concrete up there, but still, that's a significant situation for that community there in South Central Georgia. So, again, it's just kind of how things play out this time of year. These scenarios evolving on us. Again, trying to give you the latest. Watching things moment by moment here. We're going to be watching the tropics as well next week. This isn't anything, in terms of a tropical system, a tropical storm or anything, but we have seen some model guidance indicate something out there that could become Debbie possibly, and we'll need to at least keep an eye on it just in case here as things do progress. Hurricane Center's increased their odds of development with that a little bit. That's just been coming in over the last little bit, so watching that here carefully in the Weather Center, as we're obviously focusing right now on our local concern. We're a 40% chance of development now of the system for that in the Atlantic. That some model guidance has at least getting closer toward the U.S. We'll see exactly where it goes. So that'd be in about 7 days where it gets close, maybe to the U.S. We shall see. But again, watching the flood scenario right now in South Georgia. Again, okay, we do have our 12-hour update now. Oh, and it still may be underdoing it just a little bit, but I think this helps us out a little bit better. This does go from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You do see even near outside of the flash flood warning here in, Eastern Lyons County with some 5-inch totals, but it's more rural out there, a little easier to drain. But right here on the interstate, that's at least 5 inches, and this generally does underdo tropical downpours a little. That's around Remerton, 5 inches of rain a lot in the last hour, and this is hoping they're doing it, but that's 4.5 inches in the period. But again, I saw on our other radar mode even a little bit more, but you can see the orange is popping out. We're not really seeing that in other parts of our region today too much as you kind of look around. So definitely the focal point of the weather danger here on this Saturday, this July 27th, 2024. So again, just trying to give you the very latest here on what's going on what's happening, and just trying to help you guys out here. So I think the biggest thing we're waiting for right now, because the worst of the rain has kind of moved away now from areas around Valdosta and I-75, is just to see if they go to more of a serious type of warning for the area around Hira and I-75. So Again, that's of concern here at this point in time. So you gotta keep that in mind. Definitely gotta keep that in mind there as we're looking at things. Let me see if there's any reports that are focusing on Hehira there. In particular, specifically. I'm just seeing if there's anything in here. I'm not seeing anything right off. I know earlier this afternoon, there was some flooding in Jacksonville, but again, that area floods even more often than you'd have in South Florida. Didn't have as much rain, but there was a area with a foot or two of water there across Post Street and Duff Avenue in downtown Jacksonville, where there was some issues there. I'll zoom back out of it. I mean, you had some problems there with vehicles, driving through it, covering the front bumper of low-profile vehicles. So that's significant, but this had even more precipient, a more historic event per se. In terms of like just how often this would reoccur here in towards south central Georgia, as you just don't have 5 inches in an hour very often. And in some cases, it would seem that's what we've seen here is significant. So that's why we're on the air right now. Hopefully, we can wrap it up pretty soon. Don't generally stay on for flash flood warnings, too long. And the considerable one, we should have plateaued now and should start to see some of that water draining off some there. Granted, if there's been flood damage, which I suspect there probably has been in some areas, it's still gonna, it's gonna take a while to clean that up. But it hadn't plateaued yet on Hehira. Things could still be getting worse, it would seem. As the sun is going down and it's dark out there, so you can't really see what's going on. And you can't see how deep that water is. That's why you gotta remember to turn around, don't drown. So very important here in that regard. Let me go ahead and look at some things here. I mean, that is significant rain there in the Hehira area. Just checking more of my sources right now. Again, this type of rain, you would not see this often, 5 inches in an hour. This doesn't happen every year here, folks. I mean, this is significant. So you got to be really careful as we're looking toward these localized communities that really causes problems, really causes danger. Just got to be really careful. Sometimes you need the rain, but sometimes you get too much. And that's kind of where we're at right now toward some of these communities. Getting too much. I know some different flood advisory information coming out toward parts of the area here. As we look toward like Baker, Columbia, and Hamilton, the flood advisory. Getting some precip, but nothing, that's as focused as this. That also goes into Charleston and Georgia, by the way. But again, nothing is as focused and significant as this here. That's definitely of concern. Again, around higher up, some very heavy rain. Significant rains there. Remember, turn around, don't drown. Around US 41, I-75 there. Old US 41. It's the water. You can't see how deep it is. There's been too much rain to take any chances. You just got to turn your vehicle around and try to find an alternate route. I know, in these situations, sometimes you might just have to stay at higher ground for a little while before the water recedes here. I mean, it might make it a little tricky getting home, but, your life's more important than trying to get home in a certain period of time or getting to work or anything like that, depending on what schedule you're on. You don't want to get your vehicle ruined, by trying to go through these higher waters. That's of concern as well. So, again, just got to be really careful. Got to be really mindful. Again, looking around Hira, that downpour is just not letting up. I'll loop this around again for folks just joining us. I mean, they started getting that's an hour or more ago. They've been in a downpour there again. Radar showing very significant rain in that area. What we jumped on for was down here. I mean, it was, just because of the population density, even more significant with the flooding. Again, areas that don't flood, the water was just flowing like rapids according to reports, and that's why they went with a particularly dangerous situation, or say, flash flood warning, a life-threatening one, a considerable one. The rain's slacking up some there now, a good bit, but just a moderate downpours in there, at points and in places. So, got to keep that in mind. Let's go back to the north. There's Hira. The rain coming down there. Just got to be mindful of that. I mean, right in Hira, there's been heavier downpours than what we're seeing at the moment. So hopefully that's a good sign. But, I mean, there's still quite a bit of population in here. It's getting into some pretty good downpour activity. Not helpful, rainfall here. So. Just continuing to watch things. Half foot of rain here. Even I'm seeing now 7.5 inches of rain west of Rimerton according to radar estimates. That's not what you want to hear. I mean, that's a lot of precip there. You just got to be really careful. So, I know we're going to go ahead and I think wrap it up unless I get information or detail here in a moment. When we do get an upgrade to considerable or something like that, I think we're going to go and wrap the coverage up for now. But if we get something, of note here that we need to pass along to you guys at home, we will. Don't see a whole bunch of lightning on a couple of our lightning modes here, so maybe that's a sign of some decay and weakening here. Depending on what happens, we may pop back in. Probably won't, because I think this is starting to plateau of some run here. It still could be getting a little bit worse for those folks, but I don't know if they're going to go with a, upgraded warning here. It's kind of right on the edge of that, if they would or not, because with things maybe plateauing, they may not, but it's a possibility around Hira, so just keep that in mind, and we'll kind of use our discretion on it if we need to go back on once they do that, since we've covered that area a little more extensively than we would for a normal base flash flood warning, because we're already on for the other area. I may not jump back in unless something, just if this is just still really hanging around, maybe like in an hour or something around Hira, then things would have really, significantly progressed. So, in terms of danger, so. We'll let you guys know here about things that necessary. Of course, I'll post warnings if you don't need to come on toward the different platforms. So just keep that in mind here as well. But I think we're going to go and wrap up the coverage for now. Again, I just checking here. Just checking on exactly what's going on. What exactly that we're monitoring. And that's going to go ahead and do it for now. So. There's all the different platforms we're on: Facebook, Casey, Cloud WX, Cloud Weather, Twitter / Cloud Casey, YouTube at Cloud Weather, Twitch Cloud Weather, cloudweather.com. So I keep it here to the different platforms. We'll be back on as needed. But for now, have a great night, everybody, and stay safe.